Hey guys, Vezerlo here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about something that I haven't really touched on before. I have made videos that have sort of hinted towards something like this, where I just say, oh yeah, like the iPhone 10, the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8, and I just kind of explain my thoughts on it, and very briefly, I haven't really gone in depth on what I think of these phones. But in this video, I wanted to literally make an entire video of just me talking about which iPhones, and maybe even looking at some other phones if we have some time, or if you are interested in it, just to see which phone is the best for you. Now, something you have to keep in mind before getting into this is that these are my opinions, and I actually am not really an iPhone user. I have used iPhones before, but when it comes to iPhones, I'm not like a heavy user for them. So these opinions are not coming from exactly, I wouldn't say not trustworthy, but from a source that you may not want independently. So if you want other sources that might provide other opinions, let's say other channels on YouTube that are doing something similar to this, because I know that there's like tons of videos out there that do other iPhone buying guides in 2018, then you should probably also check out those videos. But just also, you may want to check out this video because you might just want a second opinion talking about which iPhone you should pick up. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into this. So starting off at the top of the list, we have the iPhone 10 or the iPhone X. Now, this phone is very, very weird to recommend to people. A lot of people often say to me, oh, which iPhone should I get? And usually I'd reply, okay, which iPhones are you interested in? Are you looking for a really high quality, like really like brand new phone with like no bezels, which there's only really one version of that? Or are you looking for just a phone that'll get the job done? And if you're looking for a phone that'll get the job done, I really wouldn't think that the iPhone 10 is for you, because the iPhone 10 costs $1,000 US, which is not cheap. However, regardless of the price, this is still a great phone. So if you have the money for it, I would highly recommend picking one up. Only, however, if you are 100% sure that you are okay with paying $1,000 for this phone, when maybe even more depending on where you live, and you could get another phone that might even cost way cheaper, and it'll provide a fairly similar experience, and it might even be on the iPhone train. So it's totally up to you if you want to pick this up. Personally, I would just wait though. I would wait until September, because in September we should be seeing a refresh on the new iPhone. So if you wait until September, we might be seeing a new iPhone that might even be cheaper and have better features than the iPhone 10. And you might even see an iPhone 10 that might be discounted after this new one is announced in September. So I would just really recommend waiting and just to see what happens with the iPhone 10. Because rumors have been saying that Apple might be canceling the phone, so you might just want to wait and see to what will happen with the iPhone 10. Then again, if you can find a really good deal on eBay for an iPhone 10, then by all means go for it. These are of course just my opinions, but I would just wait. Alright, so moving down the list, we have the iPhone 8. Now, this is a very, very good phone. Probably right now my most favorite phone in the iPhone lineup. And from what the people I know that are interested in buying an iPhone, they're mostly interested in the iPhone 8. In fact, majority of them said that the iPhone 10 wasn't worth their money. So they're more interested in the iPhone 8 because it's at a cheaper price. It's at around the price tag of a high-end smartphone, and it's a very, very good phone. So, and if you are looking for a phone that doesn't have the price tag of the iPhone 10, but has basically the similar specs and a similar camera and a pretty similar design that has those big bezels, but still, I'm sure you'll be able to get by with it, then the iPhone 8 will probably do you just fine. However, there are some things I have to note. Just like with the iPhone 10, I would not recommend buying this until September, because we might be getting the iPhone 9 or the iPhone like 10s in September, so you might just want to wait to see if you're going to see a discounted iPhone 8 or maybe an updated version of the iPhone 8 that might even be cheaper. So you might want to just wait for that. Again, if you find a good eBay version or like a used version that's at a good price, then go for it. But I really would just recommend waiting. Next on the list is the iPhone 7. So the iPhone 7 is a phone that I don't know how to feel about. The iPhone 7 is a phone that when it launched, I didn't really care for, mainly because it dropped the headphone jack. So, but of course, besides the other phones on this list that I'll mention, like the SE, the 6S, and the 5S, if you're interested in the headphone jack, then you might want to pick up another Apple phone, like an older one, or maybe even an Android alternative. That's totally up to you. But if you are okay with no headphone jack, then the iPhone 7 is still a good phone. However, my only problem with it is that it's still quite a lot of money. So, personally, I would not recommend buying one immediately. So as of right now, unless you find a great used deal, other than that, I would just wait until September for a potential price drop in the phone, because Apple's probably going to be phasing out the iPhone 7. So if like a price drop comes, then you might want to pick it up then. Or, in general, you might just want to skip on the iPhone 7. Still a great phone, but there's just better options out there. Next on the list is the iPhone SE. Now, this is a more of a harder phone to recommend because it's still a great phone for the price. However, we don't know the iPhone SE's future. So, like with a lot of the other phones mentioned here, Apple's budget-end smartphone is really good for the price. I have a friend who uses the iPhone SE, and he likes it. He thinks that it's a very good phone, and he definitely would recommend buying one. However, rumors and leaks have been circling that have been stating that a possible refresh for the phone with updated internals and other features could be coming relatively soon. Like, by relatively soon, I mean like maybe even at WWDC if some of these leaks are actually correct, or maybe in September. So, hold your money and see what happens until at least September, in my opinion, because we might be seeing an iPhone SE at the same price with better internals coming soon. Next on the list is the iPhone 6S. Now, I like the 6S. Apple's flagship of 2015 is still a very good phone today. However, I have some problems with it that I do want to address when it comes to actually buying this phone. So although I really like this phone, I know a lot of other people really like it too, I've been finding the iPhone 6S to become harder and harder to recommend to people, mainly just due to its age. The device is still good for support and performance is still pretty usable on iOS 11, because you'll probably only be getting around 2 extra years of support out of it if you buy it right now, because the iPhone 6S came out in 2015, and usually Apple waits around 5 years until they completely phase out phones. So you'll have until probably 2020 to, upgrade to a brand new iPhone or an Android alternative, and if you actually pick up this brand new iPhone 6S. However, the iPhone 6S is currently at a good price. It's kind of like ranging between $200 to $400, so that's totally up to you if you want to spend that money on it. Personally, I would just wait to see what happens if like a price drop comes. I know I keep saying that, but that's something that you definitely do have to keep in mind with a lot of these phones. Alright, so the next phone on this list is the iPhone 6, and in 2018, personally, I would just not recommend this phone, mainly because the iPhone 6S and SE exist, and if you really are hellbent on picking up at least one of these 3 phones immediately, just don't get the 6. The SE and 6S will offer pretty much better specs and performance across the board for the same price, maybe a little bit more, or for sometimes even cheaper, and the 6 came out in 2014, and it's probably going to be stuck with iOS 13 or iOS 12. I know that might sound kind of harsh towards the 6, but I just have to be honest with you. Now, finally on the list would be the iPhone 5S. Now, the iPhone 5S, I know some people will be like, well, you didn't recommend the 6, but I would only recommend the iPhone 5S if you are 100% sure that you are okay with sticking to iOS 11, because I'm pretty much sure that the iPhone 5S will not be receiving iOS 12. There have been leaks and rumors saying that it will, and if it does, then great. That's just extra support of that phone. But I just think that it's hard to recommend. If you are okay with not receiving iOS 12 or iOS 13, it might even receive iOS 12 anyway, then the price tag of around $100 to $200 is pretty great. I know that the iPhone 6 can be around that price, but come on, the 5S is pretty similar to the iPhone 6 if you're looking at it from 2018 standards. Alright, so those are all of the iPhones that are on this list. However, before you leave, there is something else that I want to address, and that is Android alternatives. Now, if you're watching this, then you're probably pretty confident that you're going to be picking up an iPhone. However, I would just recommend checking out some of the Android alternatives that exist, and by mean some, I mean a lot. Although this is an iPhone video, if you really are looking for a phone that provides maybe better and maybe even cheaper prices than the Apple options, take a chance by just diving into the almost endless list of great phones that provide pretty much similar experiences on the Google train. So, some of my favorites that I would recommend would be the OnePlus 5 and the OnePlus 5T, the Samsung Galaxy S8, the LG G6, and maybe if you can even bump up your price, you could be looking at an S9, or maybe even one of my personal favorites, the Huawei P20. Even though apparently that isn't coming to America, still, you might be somehow able to import it, and you might just be able to use that. It's still a great phone. But anyways, those are just my opinions, and if you have your own thoughts, then please leave them in the comments. And if you are looking for other iPhone buying guides, then there's plenty of them on YouTube. One of my favorite YouTubers who I watch occasionally, called 9to1 Tech, or 91 Tech, he does a lot of monthly iPhone buying guides, so you'll probably want to check out one of his. I'll have a link to some of his in the description. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you want to check out my social medias, I'll have them linked in the description, and see you.